Welcome to Trend Reddit, where I share interesting, useful, and inspiring content. Let's explore the world together with the videos I create. In the world of work, sometimes a single decision can change everything. Imagine you are someone who dedicates yourself entirely to the company, but one day, the boss's son becomes the one to decide to terminate your contract. What will you do when standing on the edge between disappointment and surprise? This story is not just about fairness or friendship, it is also a lesson about a person's true value in the eyes of others. Let's uncover the secrets and surprises that will emerge on this journey. Don't forget to hit the follow button so you won't miss any new experiences. Thank you for visiting, and I hope we will have wonderful experiences together. Ethan Carter was no stranger to the business world. A seasoned sales professional, he had worked his way through various companies, each move seeming to be a natural progression in his career. Yet behind the facade of advancement was a darker truth. Ethan's frequent job changes were not solely due to seeking better opportunities, but rather because of jealousy and sabotage by envious colleagues who resented his competence and success. Now, at his latest position, Ethan had risen quickly to become the sales manager, a testament to his sharp intellect, leadership abilities, and his unyielding work ethic. His natural knack for building relationships and closing deals made him a standout, and his team respected his guidance. However, his rapid rise had drawn the attention of someone who felt threatened by his success, Lucas Miller. Lucas was the executive vice president of the company and the son of John Miller, the company's president. From an outsider's perspective, Lucas's position of power seemed unshakable. Yet within the company, it was clear that Lucas's authority was largely derived from his father's influence, rather than from any inherent skill or expertise. Lucas lacked the industry experience and practical knowledge that Ethan possessed, and this insecurity gnawed at him. Ethan's success felt like a direct challenge to his status. As Ethan thrived, Lucas grew more and more resentful. His jealousy twisted into something more dangerous, a desire to undermine Ethan, to sabotage his work, and ultimately force him out of the company. Lucas couldn't afford to be outshone by someone like Ethan, who had earned his position through hard work rather than nepotism. Ethan, for his part, remained unaware of Lucas's growing animosity, at least initially. He was focused on his work, preparing for a critical business negotiation that could secure a major contract for the company. This negotiation was essential not only for the company's future but also for Ethan's standing within the organization. Success would solidify his position as a key player. But while Ethan worked tirelessly, Lucas began plotting behind the scenes, determined to ensure that Ethan would fail in this high-stakes negotiation. Lucas's plan was subtle yet destructive, leveraging his connections within the company to sabotage Ethan's preparations. To Lucas, it wasn't enough to simply challenge Ethan, he needed to destroy his reputation and remove him as a threat for good. Unbeknownst to Ethan, a storm was brewing, one that would soon reveal the true extent of Lucas's jealousy and desperation. The tension between Ethan and Lucas finally reached a boiling point during the lead-up to an important negotiation. Ethan had been meticulously preparing for a critical business deal, one that could elevate the company's position in the market and solidify Ethan's reputation as a top-tier sales manager. Everything was set for the upcoming meeting, which was to take place at a prestigious hotel. However, unknown to Ethan, Lucas had quietly orchestrated a plan to sabotage him. Behind the scenes, Lucas used his influence to cancel a crucial hotel room reservation that was essential for the negotiation. The meeting room was where Ethan was supposed to present to potential clients, and its cancellation jeopardized the entire deal. Without the proper venue, Ethan would look unprepared and unprofessional in front of key clients, which could ruin his chances of securing the contract. At first, Ethan was unaware of the situation. It wasn't until the night before the meeting, when he received a last-minute notification that the reservation had been mysteriously canceled, that he realized something was wrong. Panic surged through him as he scrambled to find out what had happened. This kind of last-minute change was highly unusual, and it threatened the success of the negotiation he had worked so hard to prepare for. With time running out, Ethan managed to track down the source of the cancellation. His suspicions were confirmed when he uncovered that the request to cancel the reservation had come from Lucas's office. The deliberate act of sabotage left Ethan reeling, but it also sparked something else in him: determination. He now knew that Lucas was actively working against him, and this was no mere oversight or misunderstanding. Fueled by a mix of anger and a desire for justice, Ethan decided to gather more evidence of Lucas's underhanded actions. He couldn't confront Lucas without proof, so he began looking into other strange occurrences that had taken place in the lead-up to the meeting. Missing documents, delayed emails, and confusing interdepartmental communication, everything began to point back to Lucas's manipulation. Ethan now saw that Lucas was using every tool at his disposal to undermine him, attempting to cripple his success before he could pose a real threat to Lucas's position. But Ethan wasn't willing to back down. He knew he needed to confront Lucas directly, and soon. Ethan couldn't let Lucas's actions slide. Armed with the evidence he had gathered, Ethan decided it was time to confront Lucas directly. He marched into Lucas's office one afternoon, his mind set on exposing the sabotage. The atmosphere was tense as soon as he entered, both men aware that this conversation could shift the balance of power in the company. "Lucas, we need to talk," Ethan said, his voice steady but firm. Lucas, sitting behind his large, polished desk, looked up with a smug expression. "Oh? What's on your mind, Carter?" he asked, feigning innocence. Ethan wasted no time. "I know what you've been doing," he said, laying down the facts. "You canceled the hotel reservation, tampered with communications between departments, and made sure key materials went missing, all to sabotage the deal I've been working on." Lucas leaned back in his chair, his smirk faltering for a moment. "That's a bold accusation," he said, though his voice lacked the confidence it had carried moments before. "You don't have any proof. If you find it interesting, please like it. If not, please comment number 1. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video." Ethan wasn't deterred. "I do have proof, Lucas. I've gathered enough to show you've been undermining my work." He paused, giving Lucas a chance to respond, but Lucas remained silent. "This isn't just a petty rivalry anymore. This is about the future of the company, and your jealousy is putting that at risk." For a moment, Lucas's face hardened, his bravado slipping as anger flashed in his eyes. He stood up from his chair and walked around the desk, facing Ethan with a cold, measured glare. "You're playing a dangerous game, Carter. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Stay out of my way, or you'll regret it." Ethan wasn't intimidated. He had worked too hard to let Lucas's insecurities and sabotage ruin everything he had achieved. "I'm not the one playing games here, Lucas. This company deserves better than someone who can't stand to see others succeed. And I won't be bullied into silence." The confrontation left the tension between them hanging thick in the air, but Ethan had no intention of backing down. Lucas's erratic behavior during the confrontation only confirmed what Ethan had suspected all along: Lucas was driven by fear. Fear of being outshined, fear of losing his position, and fear of his own inadequacies being exposed. Soon after the confrontation, Ethan's mentor, David Bryant, stepped in to support him. David, a respected executive within the company, had always admired Ethan's leadership style and openness to new ideas. During a crucial executive meeting, David publicly vouched for Ethan's abilities, pointing out how Ethan had earned the respect of his team through hard work and integrity. This support only served to deepen Lucas's resentment. Frustrated and feeling cornered, Lucas began to take more drastic measures. He ordered other departments to delay sending critical samples and directed certain teams to withhold their support on key projects. Ethan, now fully aware of Lucas's manipulative tactics, braced himself for the next challenge. He knew this battle was far from over. As the days passed, Ethan became increasingly suspicious of Lucas's actions. It wasn't just the canceled hotel reservation or the missing materials, there was a clear pattern of sabotage emerging. Every time Ethan's team made progress on a project, new obstacles seemed to appear out of nowhere. Deadlines were missed, important documents vanished, and interdepartmental communication broke down for no apparent reason. Ethan knew that Lucas was behind it all, using his influence to manipulate other departments and create chaos. Ethan began piecing together the evidence, uncovering more signs of Lucas's interference. Promotional materials that had been crucial for the upcoming negotiation were suddenly lost in the system, samples that were supposed to be delivered to clients were mysteriously delayed, and key emails never reached their intended recipients. It was clear that Lucas was pulling strings behind the scenes, using his power to undermine Ethan at every turn. Despite these mounting challenges, Ethan remained determined. He knew that Lucas was trying to force him out, to push him into a corner where he would either fail or resign in frustration. But Ethan wasn't going to give in that easily. He had worked too hard to let someone like Lucas, driven by jealousy and insecurity, destroy his career. Lucas, on the other hand, grew bolder with each passing day. His attempts to sabotage Ethan became more overt. He began openly giving orders to other departments, instructing them to delay their work on Ethan's projects. Lucas's desperation was becoming more evident, and it was clear that he would stop at nothing to see Ethan fail. The breaking point came one morning when Lucas stormed into Ethan's office, his face flushed with anger. "I've had enough of this," Lucas snapped, slamming his hand down on Ethan's desk. "You either resign, or I'll make sure you're demoted. I'm taking over the final stage of the negotiation, and I don't care what you think." Ethan stared at Lucas, momentarily stunned by the outburst. It was clear that Lucas's emotions were spiraling out of control. His jealousy and fear of failure had pushed him to the edge, and now he was demanding that Ethan step aside or face even more severe consequences. But Ethan wasn't about to back down. He met Lucas's gaze with a calm, steady resolve. "I'm not resigning," Ethan said firmly. "And you're not taking over the negotiation. I've worked too hard for this, and I won't let you destroy everything because of your insecurities." Lucas's face twisted with frustration, but Ethan could see the fear behind his eyes. Lucas knew that he wasn't prepared for the negotiation, he lacked the necessary skills and experience to handle it. But his pride wouldn't allow him to admit it, and instead, he was trying to force Ethan out. Ethan left the office that day knowing what he had to do. He would expose Lucas's actions to John Miller, the company president, and reveal the extent of Lucas's sabotage. This wasn't just about the negotiation anymore, it was about standing up for what was right and protecting the company from Lucas's destructive behavior. The climactic moment arrived during the final negotiation meeting, and tensions were running high. Lucas had insisted on taking over, despite his lack of preparation, convinced that forcing Ethan out of the picture would cement his position of power. The board members, who were unaware of the full extent of the internal conflict, allowed Lucas to lead the session. Ethan, determined not to let Lucas ruin the deal, stayed in the background, waiting for the inevitable fallout. As the meeting began, it quickly became apparent that Lucas was woefully unprepared. The clients, important international partners, were expecting a smooth presentation, but Lucas stumbled through the opening remarks, struggling to keep up with the fast-paced discussions. To make matters worse, the negotiation was being conducted in Arabic, a language Lucas did not speak. The clients grew increasingly frustrated by his inability to communicate effectively, and their patience was wearing thin. Ethan watched from the sidelines, his jaw clenched as Lucas continued to falter. The deal was slipping through their fingers, and the company's reputation was on the line. Ethan knew that if Lucas failed, it wouldn't just affect the negotiation, it would cast doubt on the company's ability to handle future business, and the fallout could be catastrophic. At the critical moment, when it seemed like the entire deal was about to collapse, Ethan decided to step in. He couldn't let Lucas's pride destroy everything they had worked for. Without hesitation, Ethan approached the table and smoothly took control of the conversation. Switching effortlessly to Arabic, he addressed the clients directly, apologizing for the confusion and assuring them that the company was fully prepared to meet their needs. The clients, visibly relieved, began to relax as Ethan expertly navigated the negotiation. His fluency in their language and his deep understanding of their business needs immediately impressed them. The tone of the meeting shifted, and what had been on the verge of falling apart was quickly salvaged. Ethan's professionalism and skill turned the situation around, and the clients, satisfied with the direction of the discussion, agreed to move forward with the deal. Lucas, standing off to the side, was humiliated. His attempt to take control had backfired spectacularly, and now, Ethan had not only saved the negotiation but also won the client's respect. Lucas's insecurities were laid bare for everyone to see, and there was no hiding from the fact that he had failed where Ethan had succeeded. As the meeting concluded and the deal was finalized, John Miller, who had been observing the entire ordeal, couldn't ignore what had just happened. He had seen his son's incompetence on full display, and it was clear that Lucas had put his ego ahead of the company's interests. Ethan, on the other hand, had demonstrated not only his competence but also his integrity by stepping in to save the negotiation when he could have simply let Lucas fail. Ethan left the room knowing that he had done the right thing. He had warned Lucas that his actions would lead to his own undoing, and now that warning had come to fruition. After the negotiation, the reality of what had transpired hit hard. The deal was saved, thanks to Ethan's intervention, and the company stood to gain a significant advantage from the agreement. But more importantly, the power dynamic within the company had shifted dramatically. John Miller, the company president, had seen firsthand his son's incompetence and the depths of his sabotage. John called a meeting with the executive team, where the full extent of Lucas's actions was revealed. Ethan had been quietly gathering evidence of Lucas's sabotage for weeks, and now, with the failed negotiation attempt as the final straw, John could no longer ignore the problem. Ethan presented the evidence calmly, showing how Lucas had systematically tried to undermine his work, from canceling reservations to misdirecting communications and delaying crucial project components. As Ethan laid out the facts, there was no denying the truth. Lucas's behavior had jeopardized not only the company's success but also its reputation. John's face remained impassive as he listened, but everyone in the room could sense the disappointment he felt in his son. Lucas, who had always believed that his family name and position would protect him, sat quietly, his earlier arrogance drained away. The rest of the executive team, including David Bryant, Ethan's mentor, had long suspected that Lucas was sabotaging Ethan, but without concrete evidence, they had been unable to act. Now, with the truth out in the open, David stood by Ethan's side, vouching for his leadership, integrity, and ability to steer the company in the right direction. John Miller, faced with overwhelming evidence, had no choice but to take action. In a decision that sent shockwaves through the company, John officially removed Lucas from his executive position. It was a humiliating fall for Lucas, who had relied on his father's influence to maintain his role, but John knew that the company's future had to come before family loyalty. The board members, having seen the disaster Lucas had nearly caused, supported the decision wholeheartedly. Ethan's handling of the negotiation, coupled with his decision to expose Lucas's behavior, earned him the respect and admiration of the company's leadership. Many of his colleagues, who had witnessed the power struggle between him and Lucas, now viewed him as a leader who had the company's best interests at heart. His calm, steady approach in the face of adversity had won them over. Lucas, on the other hand, was left humiliated. His actions had not only cost him his position but had also tarnished his reputation within the industry. With no support left from his father or the executive team, Lucas found himself isolated, facing disciplinary action for his reckless behavior. His downfall had come swiftly, and the impact was severe. Lucas, who had once seen himself as untouchable, was now struggling to find a way forward, his career in shambles. Meanwhile, Ethan, despite everything that had happened, remained focused on his work. He had no interest in gloating over Lucas's demise. Instead, he took pride in knowing that he had done what was right for the company, protecting it from the internal sabotage that could have ruined it. With Lucas out of the picture, Ethan's future within the company looked brighter than ever. With Lucas officially removed from his position, the company began a process of restructuring. John Miller, recognizing the damage his son had caused, decided it was time to take a more hands-off approach to management, allowing capable leaders like Ethan to step into more prominent roles. Ethan was soon promoted to executive vice president, the very position Lucas had once held, solidifying his place as one of the top leaders in the company. The promotion was a defining moment for Ethan. After years of dealing with envy, sabotage, and underhanded tactics from colleagues, he had finally proven his worth through integrity and skill. His new role came with significant responsibilities, but Ethan was ready for the challenge. He had learned, through his experience with Lucas, the importance of standing up for what was right, even in the face of intense opposition. John Miller, despite his disappointment in his son, made it clear that he prioritized the future of the company over personal ties. He thanked Ethan privately for saving the crucial business deal and for bringing the truth about Lucas's sabotage to light. John knew it couldn't have been easy for Ethan to expose such damaging information, but he respected Ethan even more for his professionalism and commitment to the company's success. Lucas, on the other hand, found himself ostracized from the corporate world. His reputation was irreparably damaged by the exposure of his underhanded tactics. Word spread quickly throughout the industry, and Lucas's attempts to find another executive position were met with closed doors. No one wanted to take a chance on someone who had nearly driven his family's company into ruin through personal vendettas and poor judgment. For Ethan, however, the future looked bright. His promotion came with the opportunity to reshape the company's culture, and he took it upon himself to ensure that the toxic behavior he had experienced would not be tolerated under his leadership. He began mentoring younger employees, emphasizing the importance of collaboration, honesty, and integrity in the workplace. Ethan wanted to create an environment where people could succeed based on merit, not by tearing others down. The company, under its new leadership, thrived. With Ethan at the helm, along with the support of other capable executives like David Bryant, the business expanded, taking on new clients and projects that had once seemed out of reach. Ethan's negotiation skills and ability to foster positive relationships with clients became one of the company's most valuable assets, and the respect he had earned from his colleagues only grew stronger. In the end, Ethan's journey through betrayal and sabotage had taught him valuable lessons about leadership and resilience. He realized that, while it was easy to be pulled into petty rivalries and power struggles, true success came from maintaining one's integrity and focusing on the bigger picture. Ethan's decision to expose Lucas, despite the potential risks, had not only saved his career but also helped to protect the future of the company. Looking back, Ethan felt a sense of fulfillment. He had faced down a powerful adversary and emerged stronger on the other side. But more than that, he had proven to himself that he could rise above the toxic behavior that had plagued him throughout his career. With his new position as Executive Vice President, Ethan was ready to lead the company into a new era of success, one built on trust, integrity, and the values that had guided him all along. Thank you for reading this story. See you in a new and better story.